back to the channel. Happy Tuesday. If you're off like me, hope you're having a wonderful off day. And if you're at work, well, hey, have a great day at work. Just wanted to jump on here real quick and just do a quick live. Just talk about, the market, talk about life in general. And as the title of the live stream reads, Bitcoin adoption, guys. Bitcoin adoption, it's something that has ramped up now more than ever. If we look at the previous bull run back in 2020, 2021, Bitcoin was only at 30 some thousand dollars, I think it was, at least when I saw it was at $30,000. And then it reached an all-time high of 60,000 plus. Now we're looking at Bitcoin sitting at 112, and now it's sitting at 115. It's been going up and down since reaching an all-time high of 124k. And so a lot of people still don't trust Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin, being part of the Bitcoin community or being orange pilled, it's a very lonely journey. Once you're orange pilled and you're part of the Bitcoin movement and the community, not very many people understand the value that Bitcoin has when it comes to store of value, and when it comes to how the US dollar continues to devaluate. If you take $10,000 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and you take them out of, you try to invest the same kind of money you invested 10 years ago with $10,000 buying a single item or several items, whatever the case is, you will not be able to buy the same item 10 years later with the $10,000 you had. Unfortunately, that's called devaluation. That's called inflation. The dollar continues to devaluate, and things continue to get more expensive, and that's just part of the model, the economic model that we follow. Is part of fiat, and so that's why a lot of people have chosen to go into Bitcoin, because they believe that Bitcoin will ultimately become the world's reserve currency. But again, it is not something that very many people think of. So for those of you who are part of Bitcoin, are holding Bitcoin, continue to stack sats, because those are fractions of a Bitcoin. If you didn't know, satoshis, sats. If you're holding Bitcoin, if you continue to stack sats, it's gonna get to a point where you're not gonna be able to get sats or Bitcoin on an exchange. Unfortunately, that's gonna be the case for a lot of people that are gonna want to get on the bandwagon when the time is up. And so people that hold Bitcoin are going to be able to lend that Bitcoin out to other, individuals, institutions, etc., etc. And now that Bitcoin and some altcoins have been signed into law as far as being added to retirement plans, I think that's just another huge catalyst for Bitcoin in general. A lot of people say Bitcoin is crypto is crypto. I sort of believe that, actually. I think Bitcoin it's an animal of its own, and crypto is crypto, whether it is altcoins, meme coins, whatever you want to call them. So that is my philosophy. That is what I think. I think that the adoption of Bitcoin today, 2025, has seen a tremendous growth as opposed to 2019, 2020, 2021. I think people are becoming more aware that if things continue to get more expensive, eventually it'll cost less Bitcoin to buy the same things 5 years from now, 10 years from now, as opposed to using traditional fiat or dollars. So that is the notion behind it. So, but again, not very many people see that, and unfortunately, our financial model, it's made so that we continue to print money, so that we continue to pay more for things as they get more expensive, and as things get more expensive, we continue to print money to pay the debt, to subsidize our own services, and so forth. Well, guess what? Bitcoin is unprintable. Bitcoin is decentralized. No bank, no entity can wield it. No entity can print it. And that's what makes Bitcoin unique, you know? Only a finite supply of it exists. And there are those who say that out of the 21 million Bitcoin that were created, about 4 million of those are no longer in circulation for many reasons, you know. Wallets that were lost, people whose wallets were never given access to a family member, and the original wallet holder passed away, and so forth. I think that the 4-year cycle, slowly but surely, it's gonna start transitioning into a different cycle. So we're no longer gonna have those 4-year cycles. We're not gonna have a Bitcoin halving every 3 or 4 years. I think it's gonna be less available. People are gonna be less able to mine Bitcoin in the long run, and therefore you're not gonna be able to find much Bitcoin, if any, on any exchange. So that's why Bitcoiners believe, including myself, I guess you can call me a Bitcoiner. It took me a while to get into this whole game, believe me. I started with shit coins, altcoins, meme coins, whatever you want to call them. And so it took me a while to get into this whole Bitcoin narrative. A lot of hours of podcasts, a couple of reads. I still gotta read a few books out there that have been recommended to me. But it's been a pretty lonely journey. That doesn't make any sense. That market already has Bitcoin split into many fractions. Well, see, the thing is, when I say fractions of a Bitcoin, by the way, thank you for your comment. I really appreciate it. When I say fractions of a Bitcoin, what I mean is, I was under the impression that you had to have a whole Bitcoin for it to make a difference and for you to make money and be wealthy. And that's already not the case. You can have fractions of a Bitcoin. Not everybody can afford to just dish $115,000 or whatever the price is right now to get a whole Bitcoin. That's why you invest in fractions, because if Bitcoin gets to where a lot of people think it's gonna get $1 million plus per Bitcoin, you're only gonna need fractions of a Bitcoin. You're not gonna need a whole Bitcoin. If Bitcoin gets to 1 million, 2 million, 5 million in the next 10 years, 20 years, who knows? Then you're only gonna need fractions of a Bitcoin. That's my point. I was under the impression that if you didn't hold a Bitcoin, if you didn't have one whole Bitcoin, then you were late to the party. And that is not something that I believe any longer. I believe that if you have fractions of a Bitcoin, which I am personally stacking little by little, I think that is gonna make a difference. Quantum computing will end, but Bitcoin? Or you mean Bitcoin? Yes, I've heard that. I've heard that analogy. I've heard that. Thank you for the comment, Carlos. Yeah, I understand that. I've actually heard that before. Quantum computing is gonna end Bitcoin. But if that were to happen, then hey, it's all good. It's gonna crash. Well, we'll see, man. So far, Bitcoin was created in 2009, right? Am I right? 2009, and it's to 2025, so it's been 16 years, and it's still going. So a lot of people believe that Bitcoin is gonna crash. Quantum computing is gonna be able to hack Bitcoin. They're gonna be able to steal all the Bitcoin. That's why Bitcoin is unique. Bitcoin is not in a centralized bank, in a vault. Bitcoin is being held throughout the world in many, many wallets. And a lot of those people that are holding Bitcoin, in my opinion, have them in their own personal wallets. It's called cold storage. So, yeah, hey, listen, time will tell, Carlos. I do appreciate it, man. I really do. Thanks for your comment, brother. You know, we can agree to disagree. But I think that the whole purpose of Bitcoin being created was to avoid any entity, any individual, any government, you know, manipulating it, and that includes hacking it. So we'll see, man. Definitely. But thanks for your opinion, your feedback. I really appreciate it, man. I didn't think I was gonna get anybody to jump on here. Like I said, when you talk about Bitcoin, a lot of people believe that is all a scam, that is all gonna go back to zero. And so I believe the opposite. I think Bitcoin has proven, if you look at the chart for Bitcoin from its launch in 2009 to today, it's just is unequivocal. You know what I mean? Let's see. The real problem with Bitcoin is there's not a single company who makes a secure wallet, so you're in danger of being robbed. Yes, and that's why you put your Bitcoin. By the way, Hard Matters, I appreciate that comment. That's why you take your Bitcoin. If you bought it through an exchange, Robinhood, Binance, Kraken, Coinbase, whatever, you take that Bitcoin and you send it to a cold storage wallet. That is your own wallet. Whether it's a Ledger, whether it is any kind of cold storage wallet you can find. A lot of people use ledgers. So I think that as long as you hold your own Bitcoin, the chances of you being hacked or getting hacked are very, very minimal. You know, I saw a story of a guy getting hacked out of 7.5, 7 point something Bitcoin recently. And the mistake he made was he downloaded an app that he thought was trustworthy. He bought it through the I'm not gonna name the company, but the app store, and the app actually was malicious. And so definitely when he downloaded the app, which he thought was legit, and he tried to transfer money, the app ended up hacking his wallet and took all of his Bitcoin. So that goes to show you, yes, there are cases where personal wallets, cold wallets have been hacked, but you have to be very careful. You know, clicking on unknown links, downloading unknown apps like exchanges, wallets of sorts. It's something you have to be very, very careful. But if you educate yourself and you follow, you know, yeah, it's a foundation in trouble for the more AI or computers become advanced. Plus, in real world scenarios, it's worthless, not like gold. Yeah, well, gold is another store of value, man. Gold is another store of value. Some people call Bitcoin the next gold. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think gold is something that if you can hold physically in large quantities, and for you to take it across borders, countries, you would have to take it with you. And so I think that's what makes Bitcoin unique. You can take Bitcoin with you to another country, across borders, because it's on a wallet, and in the wallet is encrypted. You only know your seed phrase, whether it is 12 words, 24 words of that seed phrase. You're the only one that knows them. So unless you give them up or you do something that you're not supposed to be doing, guess what? That Bitcoin will always be yours. So it says, Hard Matter says, Coinbase will not protect you. My girlfriend's parents got into the cryptocurrency recently and almost immediately got scammed out of the entire Coinbase. Yes, absolutely. We're going back to the same point. If you physically hold your crypto, your Bitcoin, in a cold storage wallet, no exchange has control of it. You have control of it. Nobody can go into your wallet unless you give up your seed phrase. And that is why you have to be very, very careful with who you interact with online, with, you know, who you accept emails and links from. I don't click on any links out there. I don't care who you are. You can tell me, hey, I got a project for you. You can 10x, 20x, 100x it. Click the link. I never do. I never do, man. So unfortunately, crypto is the Wild West. And yes, there are a lot of scams. There are a lot of people out there looking to make a quick buck out of you. And so it is definitely something you have to be very, very aware of. You know, physically holding data, it's worthless if you're starving and you need to. Well, yeah. I mean, dude, if you're starving and you're in need, man, you mean shit. Don't hold Bitcoin, dude. Feed your family first. You know, feed your family. Take care of your necessities. Take care of your responsibilities. And nobody's saying you gotta hold Bitcoin to, you know, before you take care of your own self. You know what I'm saying? But again, that is my belief. It's taken me years since the last bull run to finally realize that we are entrapped in this monetary system that is dragging us along. You know, promises made, promises not kept, if you know what I mean. The politicians, I'm not saying all politicians are bad, but politicians are politicians, and at the end, man, some of them just want to make money for their own selves, you know what I'm saying? Enrich themselves. But yeah, gold and silver, absolutely, Carlos, absolutely. I totally agree with you. Buy assets, you know, diversify your assets, you know, like gold, silver, real estate. Some people like to get into bonds and other sorts of investments, stocks. I personally think that Bitcoin is so finite and there's so little of it, and it's gonna continue to decrease in availability, that is gonna come to a point where, you know, precious metals, absolutely. Mike, what's the difference between Batman and black people's Batman can go all day without Robin? Oh, I don't know about that, bro. I never seen a black people's Batman, but hey, that is that what you said? Between Batman and black people. Oh shit, I'm sorry. Batman can go all day without Robin. Come on, bro. What's up with that, bro? It's kind of now I get it. I'm driving, so I had trouble reading it, man. Holy shit, you're bad, dude. You're a bad man, bro. You're a bad man. Oh man, nah, bro. Listen, man. Anybody can get into Bitcoin and make money. It's just a matter of disciplining yourself and learning about it and going down the rabbit hole, if you will. So I think that's what I've done. Again, it's taken me 5 years plus to actually understand it, after going through scams. Not very many, but you know, maybe scam out of a couple of $100 here and there, nothing big. I think that it's taken me that long to actually realize what a lot of these people have been saying. And when you see the current administration endorsing Bitcoin and what it represents and the technology that it brings with it, I think that speaks volume as to how the adoption of Bitcoin has gone from barely any to huge amounts right now. So not only institutions but individuals like you and I are looking into Bitcoin. So guys, I really appreciate you jumping on the chat, man. Precious metals, absolutely, bro. If you can invest in precious metals, I know somebody who invests in gold and silver. I really do. I know somebody else who invests in real estate and he flips them. He flips the properties. Don't forget to smash the like button, guys, if you haven't already done so. I appreciate you guys getting on here and having a little bit of a discussion on Bitcoin. I appreciate your sentiments, your opinions. I think it's healthy to discuss, things like this. But yeah, there's a book that I haven't read yet. It's called The Big Print. I intend on buying the book and reading it. I've heard it's a really good book and gives you a better perspective as to the current financial system that we currently live under. You know what I mean? At this point, whatever money you hold in your bank, if you go to the bank today and you ask them to withdraw $30,000, all the money you have in your bank account, they're not going to be able to give it to you. You know that, right? They're not going to be able to give it to you. The money you hold in your bank account is not there for you to have access to it as soon as you go to the bank and try to withdraw it. They're going to tell you, well, we don't have that amount. You're going to have to wait a few days for us to get a hold of the money, transport it to the bank, and you can make your withdrawal. So that's the whole thing about Bitcoin. No one will ever tell you, I don't have your Bitcoin. You hold your own Bitcoin. You transfer your own Bitcoin to other wallets for services, payments, whatever the case is. And that's what makes Bitcoin unique. You control it. Everybody controls it. It's all about unity. And so, again, decentralization is what matters. And the fact that you control it, I think that makes a hell of a difference, man. So, I had a buddy of mine who sold a vehicle, went to withdraw the money from the bank, and it was around $15,000, give or take. And when he went to withdraw, they told him, nope, we cannot give you the money. To which his reply was, what do you mean? It's my money. They said, yes, it's your money, but we don't have it. Come back in 3 days and we can give it to you. So that's the point. Bitcoin eliminates exactly that. So again, that's just a matter of perspective. And for any of you who are watching, I really appreciate it. But again, you have to be able to study it, learn it, understand it. And so that's why it's taken me that long, 5 years plus, to finally understand what it is and how it could potentially change the financial system as we know it. I think it's doing just that, if you ask me. So again, entities, individuals, politicians, governments are learning more about Bitcoin, and they're already investing in Bitcoin. And unfortunately, one day there's not going to be enough of it for anybody to buy on exchanges. So I personally take advantage of that. And so I also look forward to my retirement. And if I'm holding Bitcoin, by the time I retire and I have enough of it to be able to create financial freedom for myself, but not only for myself, but for my kids, my immediate family, then so be it. You know what I'm saying? But again, that is just me speaking about my beliefs when it comes to Bitcoin, guys. So appreciate you guys tuning into this live stream. I wanted to just throw a couple of words out there. I'm barely starting to get myself immersed into this whole Bitcoin world, and the little bit that I know about it is because, again, I have read about it. I have listened to many hours of podcasts, and I think that's where the information, that's the best information. The best place you're gonna find the information is out there, So if you're interested in Bitcoin, be sure to find the information on YouTube. plenty of people out there. There's a lot of podcasts that talk about Bitcoin. A lot of people that have been dealing with Bitcoin, like Jeff Booth, Michael Saylor. You know, if anybody knows who Michael Saylor is, I think I know who he is. And so, guys, look into it. Do your own research. Do your own due diligence. And what can I say? Happy stacking, guys. Until the next one, friends. I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream. I'll talk to you guys very soon, my friends. Appreciate everybody who jumped in the live stream and commented. I'll see you soon, my friends. Peace out.